requirements when you are conducting any areas where which are like very hazardous and sometimes can lead to major problems. So I would be starting this presentation. Welcome everyone who has joined this, and please keep yourself on mute. Post the session, I'll give about 10 minutes of time. You can discuss with me on the various topic, or we can have question and answer sessions, or you can always reach out to my mobile also. I will be able to help you out in this. Thanks, Ravi Kiran sir and Shimna madam and the BMSIT College for providing this opportunity to have a session on the safe laboratory practices, and I will be starting now. So I hope the presentation is visible. If anybody can confirm me, it will be good for us.
Sir, it's visible, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So as I was talking about safe laboratory practices and procedures, so what is the safety laboratory practices you are following currently, and what are the procedures you are following? How you will be taking it forward, and due to the recent outbreak of the pandemic COVID-19, what will be our challenges, and how we are going to take it forward so that the changes in the current situation for following the laboratory practices will be completely different. But the overall the procedure remains same. It's only the additional requirements which is to be followed in the laboratory will be discussed upon. So I'll be starting with the session. So outline of the session: basic laboratory safety principles. Lab safety must be taught to whom? Review laboratory safety, hazards in the lab, emergency procedures, and safe laboratory processes. This will be the outline of this particular session. I will not drag it too much because this particular topic is very minimalistic. Key output would be that everybody who comes into the laboratory has to follow this procedure no matter what grade he belongs to. So it could be students, or it could be the working staff, or the person who is handling the laboratory. Everybody has to follow the basic principles of safety, because if you compromise on safety, chances is that your life might get into a worse situation. So please ensure that you are taking utmost care and following the basic principles of safety. Since I am from a safety background, I have seen in many of the R&D sectors where um, maybe they might be in scientist grade, or they might be from any background, but when it comes to safety, when you compromise on safety, there are chances that you might land up in troubles. You might get into you might get in such a situation that you will might fall ill, or you might get injured, or it can lead to some medically impairment, or even it could lead to fatality. So if you don't follow these procedures, there could be these problems arising. So please ensure that you're taking utmost care when working in laboratory, especially because laboratory safety is not only particularly to one particular department. It belongs to all the departments which are to be taken into consideration. So please ensure that maximum amount of precautions are taken from your side. Ensure that safety is given utmost priority to avoid any sort of confusions. So coming into the second slide, lab safety must be taught to whom? So if you see the procedure, what I have told upon, lab safety must be taught to all employees, including service groups, undergraduate students, graduate students, professors, and visitors. All of them who are who's going to come into the laboratory has to follow the safety, basic principles of safety. As I'm mentioning, please don't think that the safeties are only followed in industries, or it is only followed in your houses, or it is only followed in any of the places, but it includes even the educational institution who has to follow the safety principles. Because you would have seen many accidents happening maybe 2019 or 18, if you have seen, I will not mention the institute name. There was a huge explosion in the lab, which critically injuring the students, which they have not abiding to the safety norms. So these are the things which we need to follow to ensure that it doesn't create much bad situation, or you're putting your institute into a bad name because you're not following the safety norms. This can lead to a major disaster to the institution also. Please understand that for an example, in industry, if there is a serious injury or serious fatality is nothing but death happens. This could lead to hampering of the company's name also. Trust me, any institution who's not following the proper safety can lead to all these problems. So to avoid all those things, you need to follow at least minimum basic safety principles for carrying out the laboratory work. So what we need to do, review laboratory safety. When we have to review the laboratory safety, when a new employee or a student, or it could be any person who is coming into the site, we need to review the documents. If you change the procedure, current procedure to a new procedure, you need to review the safety for a laboratory. Then new equipment. If you're bringing any new equipment in the laboratory, you need to follow all these procedures, safety procedures, and always ensure that any laboratory review is carried out, it should be written and made available, because these are some of the basic principles you need to uh, kindly a person who is on the call can put yourself on mute, because it is disturbing others also. So to understand, you need to understand that there should be a written document available, because these are the basic things which we need to take care of and ensure that you are following all the safety practices in the laboratory. This will help you to reduce the risk factor or the hazards or problems arising in the laboratory. So we should not compromise on the basic safety principles. Hope I am audible to you all. Can anybody confirm?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Go on, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, sir. So what we need to do, I'll be running through a small video of this particular this one, so you will understand what exactly the general procedure, all rules you need to follow. So if you see in this particular this one slide, usually all the procedures and rules has to be followed common across all the areas. It is not only that a civil department or a physics department or an electronic department has to follow this. This rules is applicable to all the institution, no matter what subject they belong to. They have to follow the basic safety principles. You should never drink food. You should never drink any sort of liquid or food in the laboratory, because there are certain things which you need to practice, because this could lead to some kind of a problems related to safety. I will give you an example where in one of my previous organization where we're working, one person by mistake had consumed a liquid which was not known, thinking it was water, and later on we found out that he had a electrolyte which is used widely, and it is actually burned his internal organs. So to avoid all those things, please ensure that whenever you're in the laboratory, avoid drinking of liquid or consuming food in the laboratory, because there are certain serious implications pertaining to the to the laboratory safety. Compromising can lead to all these problems. Where required personal protective equipment. See, one of the major problems happens in lab safety is not wearing appropriate PPEs. PPE is nothing but personal protective equipment, which can protect you from getting into a bad verse. It could be injury, or it could be burn injury, or it could be laceration. Laceration is nothing but cut injury. All this will be avoided. So always wear appropriate PPEs. you are aware that there is no smoking to be done in the laboratory. This is a serious policy which has been used across all the institutions. Maintain good housekeeping habits. Why have maintained? I have put this word maintain good housekeeping habits. Housekeeping does not say that just clean the area and go. It should be clean and tidy. Also ensure that there are no wires are frayed out, or wires are being kept at one particular place. That can lead to another injury also. How tripping and falling hazard. These are all the possible ways person gets injured. So I'll just play you a small video. I will be able to make you understand on the basic principles of this. I hope the video is visible now.
Yes, sir.
So this is a general laboratory safety rules. It's just about 2-3 minutes video, and we will be able to make you understand on the requirements.
Sanjay MG, please mute the audio. Sanjay MG, please mute the audio.
Okay, that was a small video on the safety procedures and rules which you need to follow in laboratory. Ensure everyone who is working in the laboratory are following, including yourself, the students, and the person who is visiting in your laboratory has to follow the basic safety principles, because you have seen that this could lead to some injuries, or some kind of medical treatment case and all those things. To avoid all those things, please follow this rules and procedures. Coming into the next part, fire is another major subject which is in particular in not only in industry but even the laboratories also. Always ensure that you are following the best practices pertaining to the fire safety. Since now last year I had conducted a session in the BMS IT college where I was able to demonstrate on the operations of fire extinguisher. But since this year is a different scenario because of the COVID-19, we need to understand the principles of fire. Please understand that the fire does not occur only in chemistry labs or physics lab or any other lab. It can happen in any labs. So don't keep that in mind that it can happen only where there is a chemical. Anything, any lab which has all the sources of ignition can lead to fire. So you should understand what exactly is a fire. So if you see, fire is made up of three things. One is fuel, other one is oxygen, and the third one is heat. So for any combination of fire to start, these are the three things. So always understand that if you keep energy out of your fire will not start. If you cut off the oxygen content in the fire, you can stop the fire. And if the fuel content is not there in the fire, you can cut off the fire. So that is why the fire is a combination of three things, which is nothing but fuel, oxygen, heat. To avoid fire situations, keep above all the things away from each other. So if you remove all the three from each other, there will not be any source of ignition, and there will not be a source of fire getting into a place. So please keep in your mind, these three things are the key ingredients for a fire to start. So always be very always keep yourself in such a state that you will understand that if your fuel is there, then there is a chances of the fire to occur. If there is a fuel and oxygen content is there, obviously the fire will start. So if there is a heat content, fire also will start. So this three combination, any one you remove, there will be a source of ignition to be cut off. So that is why fire is a combination of three elements. You should remember that there are some classes of fire. I will just give you a broader perspective what exactly are the classes of fire. If you see commonly used fire extinguishers in your respective institutes, so there are two types of this one extinguishers which are kept. One is A, B, and C. That is a combination of ABC type of fire extinguishers. What are the classes of fire? Class A, Class B, Class C, D, and K. Earlier, there was a Class E type of fire which is no more used now. It is now changed into Class C type of fire. So the Class A fire consists of cloth, wood, rubber, paper, and plastics which are and gasoline. Gasoline is nothing but petroleum, diesel, all these things come under the category of Class B. And Class C is your electrical fires. Understand that the major of incidents is happening in any of the institutes or any of the areas or the residential or commercial. Electrical fires are the major culprits in any of the factors, because short circuits are the major reason for electrocution or electrical fire to stop. And trust me, the electrical fires are not you should not treat them as normal fires, because once it starts, it is very dangerous to stop a electrical fire. So always you have to be prepared in such a situation that electrical fires has to be taken in a serious note. And D is your combustible metals, which are part of your requirement. And the last one is your kitchen fires. Now, the major of the industries, the kitchen fire is one of the key components of in hotel industry, where the kitchen fires are considered to be the one of the class of fire for causing maximum amount of accidents. So these are all the classes of fires which you need to understand. So if you see A, B, and C, these three classes of fire extinguisher is available at your respective locations. I do understand that dry chemical powder is the type of fire extinguishers which are being provided to you. It is safe to use on Class A, Class B, and Class C type of fire. You cannot use ABC type of fire extinguisher on D and K because they are having a different class of fire which we need to understand. And coming into the next slide, how do you operate a fire extinguisher? There is a rule which says, uh, again, I'm very, in an easier way, I will tell you that, there is a four words which you key words which you need to understand. That is called as PASS. What is PASS stands for? P is nothing but pull the pin in the handle of the fire extinguisher. A is aim at the nozzle or the base of the fire. Why we have to aim at the base of the fire is because whenever there is a fire happens, base is one where the heat content can be reduced at any point of time. The top layer flames will not be considered. Always hitting at the base will reduce the impact of ignition and source of heating agent to go high. So that is why always aim at the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle of the fire extinguisher slowly so that the powder or the CO2 gas comes out of the fire extinguisher and sweep it completely. So what is sweep stands for? Nothing but where your complete extinguisher is operated in a sweep manner. Please don't use the extinguisher on one particular area because fire has a tendency to move from one place to other places. It always rotates in 360 degrees and tries to spread towards to different locations. So be very careful on that. Okay, the products of fire and their effects. What exactly the effects of fire can lead to? First is your smoke. Second is your heat. Third is your flame. So smoke causes poor visibility, breathing problem, and can eventually lead to death. Heat leads to spreading of fire, which prevents escape, and even also causes major burn injury. And the third one is your flame. Fire spreads with the flame, and burn leads to infection and loss of body fluids. So that is why the product of fire and their effects is very much to be taken into consideration. Always understand that fire components is made up of three. One is your smoke, heat, and flame. In this, the maximum amount of killing agent is your smoke, which causes maximum confusion among people and lead to death also. Hazards in lab. So you should understand there are different types of hazards in laboratory. One is your biological hazards, second is your chemical hazards, third is your radiological hazards, fourth one is fire, and fifth one is your electrical accidents. So if you see the main components of your hazards is considered into biological. You know that people working in medical field, laboratory safety, all those things comes under the category of biological hazards, which is the major problem created to the person by exposing to all the body fluids or blood or the soaked cottons. All those things can cause us biological hazards. Chemical, obviously, acids, alkalis, toxic chemicals, all these things cause the hazard to a person. So the third one is your radiological. You know that there are radiology labs where they take X-rays, your MRI scans, CT scans, all these things comes under the category of radiological hazards and causes major problems in disposal as well as the effect of to the body. And the fourth one is your fire hazard. Obviously, everybody is aware of this thing. Fire hazard is one major component of the emergency preparedness. We have to be very careful in it. Why accidents occur? If you see carelessness, inadequate safety training, inadequate instruction, unsafe experimenting, overcrowding, inadequate equipments, facilities not provided, misbehavior, inappropriate preparation, poor laboratory management, ignorance, and teaching experiences can lead to an accident to happen. That is the main reason you should be always careful. Um, Practice safety, provide maximum instructions from our side Please don't allow any students or anybody to handle the experiments without knowing or giving them the best way to handle the experiment in a better way. And inadequate equipments also can lead to accidents. So always please follow this procedures at any point of time. Next is your operational information. What exactly is the operational information talks about? You should have a design and flow of laboratory facility in requiring safe working environment. There should be proper lighting. Adequate lighting should be provided. Egress. Egress is nothing but it's a passage. Your passage should not be overcrowded. That can lead to problem of falling hazard or tripping hazard or slipping hazard. All those things we should be always keep in mind, because obstructing the passage can lead to another problem. Like you might fall on each other. That could lead to a stampede. So hallways where no storage of laboratory work, no eating and drinking, all should be part of your operational information, which is a key important factors for a safety in laboratory. Okay, coming into the emergency response plan. What exactly it talks about emergency response plan? Emergency response plan is way of moving out of the area without not understanding can lead to another situation. So always you should know your emergency exits very well. I mean, most of the time there could be two doors for a laboratory, one to enter and one to exit, but both are used as entry and exit. Always you should know the exact area where you need to escape from. So always, whenever you're doing an emergency response, all personnel must be evacuation should be done at one time. If you see any kind of fire arising, pull the manual call point or raise an alarm, which is an important part of your requirement. Take any valuable personal items. Leave the laboratory or office quickly to check to determine if co-workers have begun to evacuate. See, as a emergency response plans, please understand that you are not only person who is going to evacuate the building. It could be every person who is going to come with you has to be evacuated in a proper way, has to be carried out. Evacuation maps are always posted. You should know that there are some fire exits which are kept for, especially in some of the institutes, to escape during any fire happening. So always ensure that the doors should not be blocked with any materials. Once you have evacuated the building, you need to go into the safe assembly area where every person's life will be saved from during any kind of emergency, and which is a best safety practices which we follow across all the industries, the residential complexes, commercial building, even in the institution building also. Fire emergency, there is two types of fire emergency. One is your controllable fire and the other one is uncontrollable fire. First is your controllable fire. Notify your everyone in the immediate area of danger. Non-essential persons to evacuate the area completely. You might fight the fire if you know how to operate the fire extinguisher. Please understand, if you don't know how to control a fire, please do not operate the fire extinguisher, which can lead to another major problem related to safety. There are sand buckets which are kept, uh, which needs to be used as a form of fire extinguishers. If you don't have a fire extinguisher, use sand as a source of dosing of the fire. So fire is small, confined to specific area. You are reasonably certain that the fumes that are generated are not toxic. Never turn back on fire even if you believe it is to be extinguished. Always ensure that if you know how to control the fire in any emergency, always practice. Otherwise, please leave the area immediately, no matter you are an expert or not. Fire emergency, uncontrollable fire. Notify everyone in the immediate of area of danger. The next one is evacuate the area. Close doors and windows if possible. Evacuate the building and go to the assembly area. That is what is our main intention, and it is our duties and responsibility to take all the people to the emergency safe assembly area always. Coming into the next lesson is the safety rules. All procedures which needs to be conducted alone or afterwards needs to be reviewed by for hazardous must be approved. You should know your locations of exit routes. Always when you are working with some of the chemicals or any kind of material which can lead to injury, must be worn with a eye protection or safety goggles. Understand that shoes must be completely covered, no slippers allowed, because that can lead to a major fall of any heavy materials on your leg, can lead to injury or an accident. When I was showing about the video on the that especially ladies who have long hairs should always tie that and make a bunt and ensure that they're using it, because loose hairs can also cause problems like entanglement. Entangle means getting caught in between some of the moving machineries. For an example, if a civil engineering department is carrying out an experiment where a lady, female female colleague is standing, and if her hair is loose and there is a compactor or a thresher, whatever is getting caught in between, then can lead to problems into the getting caught by the. So always you should not leave your hairs loose. Do not wear loose clothing whenever you are in laboratory. Ensure that apron is worn, or don't wear something which is very loose, which can get caught in between the machines. Be very very specific in wearing, especially when you are working in laboratory. Person who is in charge, or the students who are coming, has to be instructed. If they are wearing any loose clothes, will not entertain that, because that can lead to some of the problems arising in the laboratory safety. So be very specific. Do not allow anyone to drink food or consume food or drink any sort of liquid in the laboratory, because it is not permitted and it is against the safety norms. No equipment may be without proper training or demonstrated competency. See, you are all the subject matter experts to be called upon, because you are aware of your area. You know how the equipment works, and you know how to operate an equipment. Suppose if I'm a person, third person coming into a lab, I don't know how to operate a mechanical lab. I come and I start working on it. There could be a problem related to it. How I might get injured. So only the competent person should be demonstrating the basic principles of the equipments which are they are going to talk about. And post which, once the demonstration is done, only you are supposed to carry out with with their supervision. Always equipment should be guarded properly. Unsafe or dangerous behavior must be reported. You see, most of the students, or it could be anyone, have that mindset. Okay, I will do it by myself, and most of them are mischievous, and you think that these guys are making something which could lead to accident or incident. So always that has to be reported immediately to avoid further complications related to incident. So be very specific when you are carrying out the um, experiments or safe laboratory practices. Coming into the next is housekeeping safety rules. Why I'm adding this? Because this has a lot of value in it. Laboratory housekeeping rules also apply to most facilities. Basic upkeep, tidiness, and maintenance of safe laboratory. Always you should keep your work area very clean. Make sure that your IVA stations emergency, this won't be there, but always ensure that exits are always unobstructed and accessible. Most of the time what happens, there are some chances that there could be some stones lying in there, or some materials which will be kept in the front of the door, which can hamper you're actually obstructing the area and not allowing the people to move out during emergency. Only material you require for work should be kept in your work area. Always you know that whenever we are having a small space and you keep 10 to 15 materials, one might fall or one might be obstructed, or you'll not have much working space. So always believe in the concept of using the materials only which are in use. Rest of them you can keep it inside the racks, or you can keep it in the cupboard which are not to be used. Only lightweight items should be stored on the cabinets. Please note this. You cannot keep 1 ton of weights on the top of cabinet. You may not know that one ton or 100 kgs or 200 kgs pressure. If something falls on leg, what will be the implication? You might get leg injury, or you might get toe. You might get completely destroying your leg itself. So that be very careful. Don't use heavy materials on the cabinets, which can cause injury to your body parts. Solid should be always kept on the laboratory sinks. You are aware that certain chemicals or some sort of products which are to be used should be kept out of the laboratory sinks, because any chemical reaction can cause explosion, or flammable chemicals can lead to any sort of fire, or it can actually burn your skin also. So be very specific. Don't use all those things which are not necessary. Any equipment that requires airflow or ventilation, preventing overheating, should be kept away from clear. So these are the basic housekeeping safety rules which we need to follow to ensure that you are using the best practices for laboratory safety. Dress code safety. These are all part of your rules and regulations which are should be followed in a laboratory. Ensure that that loose clothing or dangling jewelry is secured, or avoid wearing in the first place. Why I am telling loose clothes? Flashing your jewelry or something which can get stuck or get in between during working in a laboratory can lead to a major accident. So be very specific on that. Don't wear all those things. Never wear sandals or open toed in the lab. So why we are telling this? Because footwear is very important. Covered shoes should be worn always. It could be female or it could be male. Both has to follow this practices, because any heavy object falling on your toe is a big challenge. You cannot even understand the pain who person who gets a toe injury, or a object falling from a particular height can be 10 times more painful than the normal fall injury. So be very specific. Never wear short skirts or shorts or skirts in the lab. You are aware that you should never wear this. You have to be very specific in wearing this. When working with Bunsen burner, light spindle matches, acrylic nails are not allowed. This is for more of a people who wears nail polish, female employees, female students, female staff, whoever it is. Ensure that you avoid wearing acrylic nails, because this contains uh, a kind of a flammable material, which is part of the requirement which need to be addressed, because that also can melt off during use of certain Bunsen burner or lighted splints during the laboratory operation. So be very specific towards it. The next one is electrical safety. Ensure that you are using the proper electrical rated cables, or it could be rated MCBs, RCBs, RCBs, whatever rating. Don't overcrowd the electrical sockets. You could have seen in many of the areas what they will do. 10 chargers, mobile chargers, 10 equipments will be put in one particular pin itself. Never allow more than one pin to be used for one socket, electrical socket I'm talking about, because this can lead to short circuits of the electrical cables immediately. Trust me, these are the most bad habit people follow in any of the places. Never use two pins or just the wires putting inside the sockets. That is also wrong practice. I'll give you an example. In one of the organizations, when they were using the two wires and put inserted into the socket, there was a reverse current which came into one person, electrocuting that person immediately on the spot. So don't use these practices. This can lead to electrocution, or even can lead to fatality. Be very specific. High voltage equipment should never be changed or modified in any way. The person who is handling the electrical has to be having the knowledge where exactly has to be plugged, and how much voltage current has to be given for a specific instrument which we are using. Uh, Use only one hand if you need to adjust the voltage equipments. Electrical panels are not unobstructed and easily accessible. Don't keep any material, don't keep any sort of gas or any sort of materials which can obstruct the electrical panels, because these are very key component of the year. During emergency, electrical equipments has to be switched off immediately. No mobile phone will be allowed in the laboratory. Please follow that, because many of the person who enters the lab has bad practices. What they do is charge the mobile phone whenever they see a plug. This is not only for the staff. I'm talking about the entire set of people. First thing is the students who are coming into, they will go and plug into the electrical circuit saying that I need to charge my mobile. Don't entertain the mobile phones in your lab itself. Avoid it, because this will help you to reduce any kind of electrical related safety issues. So this is what is part of your safety rules pertaining to the electrical safety. These are some of the good laboratory practices. If you have the projector, put it on the wall mounted so that there will not be any untidiness or housekeeping problems where this could lead to entanglement of wire. 10 wires going, or it's like Lakshman Rekha, you need to jump from one place to other place. Those things will be avoided. If you have spectacle cabinets, nothing but your goggles, where if you use this distribution of equipments, please ensure that it is kept it in a plastic box, or where it could be kept uh, in a better form, where that person can take the equipment or he can work on that equipment. Um, Other than this, Bunsen burner screen should be provided to avoid the spread of flames. And the yellow line or the caution line, this is called as Lakshman Rekha line, we call it as. If you think that this caution tape has no value, everybody has a wrong notion. Lakshman Rekha line, you think that if you cross this line, if Sita had not crossed that yellow line, she would not have been in danger. This is a warning line. It will provide you a kind of a caution saying that if you cross this, can lead to a accident or an incident. So please always use this yellow line, mark it so that you are distinguishing one place as a good practices and avoid any kind of accidents that happening at the particular location. Okay, coming into the couple of slides which we are going to talk about is on the guidelines pertaining to the COVID practices uh, in the laboratory. What is your roles and responsibility, and what will be the guidance to be followed in outbreak of COVID-19 and the post mobilization of your respective locations? What will be your roles and responsibility? How you are going to tackle it? Now, industry has started following these practices, but institutions have not resumed back. But going forward, this will be the practices which you need to follow, and this will be part of our requirement also, and this will be in our blood also, that you need to follow the laboratory safety for any point of time. Analyze the number of people that laboratory spaces can realistically and safely accommodate, maintaining social distancing. Key concept in any area is social distancing. At least maintain 3 to 6 feet distance. If you start calling anyone, you will get to know that social distancing has to be done. Practice this will help you to reduce attraction of any kind of pandemic situation. Assess the flow of personal traffic. That is means don't allow crowded place. Provide maximum amount of spaces for each and every student. Assess procedure for cleaning and sanitizing commonly shared equipments. I do understand that there is a challenge now, but trust me, going forward, all the laboratory equipments, once they are leaving, any students leaving has to clean that area and have to hand over the equipments to the respective lab owners. because this is a key concept of sanitizing the area and cleaning procedure has to be followed. This will help you to reduce the contracting of any kind of pandemic situations. Review emergency communication and operational plans, how to protect staff at higher risk of severe illnesses from COVID-19. So this is a basic concept which we need to understand. So continuing into the next slide, every institution should have a COVID and health and safety plan to protect employees, students, who are going to be part of our requirement in a laboratory safety. This plan should be shared with all staff. Ideally, this plan would describe steps to prevent spread of COVID-19 if an employee or student is sick. So going forward, you need to ensure that you are following all the social distancing norms. Thermal scanning will be done, like non-contact of thermometer will be used when a person is going to enter into the laboratory. Provide information on whose employee students should contact if they become sick. Whom you will contact if a person is having fever or cold or cough. Whom you're going to call. Implement flexible sick leave and supportive policies and practices. This is for employees who are going to work in the laboratory. Designate someone to responsible for responding to employees' COVID concerns. If you feel that there is a chances that this person might be suffering from any kind of pandemic, what will be your response? So the way you can judge is by physically looking them, visually saying that person is coughing, is having a fever, and having a itching sensation, or you might have a respiratory ailment. All those things can be visually inspected, and you can take a precautionary measures immediately. Provide employee with accurate information about COVID-19, how it spreads, and the risk of exposure. You should know, should be aware that not every time that there is a person who's coughing or having fever will have a COVID symptom. You should know what is the cause of it and whether he has a travel history or he comes from a containment zone, whether he comes from non-containment zone, or he's affected because of some other person coming in contact with a person. So always ensure that whenever a person is entering a lab, declaration form is being used. I will share you a copy of a declaration form. It has a basic information which will provide the way to protect yourself from a COVID, from getting exposed to any person. So be very careful on that and understand the requirement. Uh, covering of face must in lab with face mask. Without face mask, do not allow any person to enter the lab. It will be a mandatory requirement going forward. They have to wear mask and then only come into the laboratory area. Ensure wiping is done once use of any equipment before leaving the lab. This will be the last part, which will be done with the help of students also, with the faculty also, with the help of supervisors, whoever it is, has to take a few minutes of time for cleaning activity of the equipment by just giving a overview of wiping the touch points. We call it as touch points, like doorknobs or the equipment handles. All those things has to be wiped for a better way to protect yourself. So this ends the session on this particular topic related to laboratory safety. Laboratory safety is a huge topic, trust me, because I had time constraints. We have to finish it within the timeline. So thanks for the session. If anybody has any clarification, please let us know. We will have a discussion on this particular topic.
Thank you, sir. I request you to be online.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Give us 2 minutes time, sir. Give us 2 minutes time.
Sure. People who are on this session, I think can give a honest feedback also, because this will help us to provide more details on this particular sessions going forward. Because I do understand time constraint is always is very much important. So I think English. There are like people from different locations who have joined. I could have mixed languages, but due to restriction, we need to ensure that this is done on a better form. Thanks everyone for participating in this particular session. Hold for about a few minutes time. I think I see Rajesh sir on the screen. Sir, thanks for providing the opportunity to present on this particular topic on the safe laboratory practices and procedures. Um, and I'm